Hello there and welcome to your daily painting show, the Daily Yupari. I am Yupari. I will be guiding you through the process involved in creating every single one of these paintings on this show. I will do the best to film and narrate every single brushstroke. So that being said, each painting is going to be divided, so each day on each painting is going to be divided into individual episodes where I will feature certain things like the structure of the eyes, structure of the large plane of the faces, and maybe we'll move into some landscapes and things like that in the future. That being said, you know what, I think since we're going to get into the nose and the mouth and the structures surrounding the nose and the mouth, I think maybe we should try and jump right into the technical drawing. So that is the, what did I call it? The structural drawing. So let's do that. Alright, so now, oh goodness, this marker is running out. So now we're going to start off the nose with a very, very simple shape. So this is very much at the most basic it's going to get. This is going to be for the side plane of the nose. And so with the nose, basically the nose is going to start at the nasal bone. So if this is going to be the point for the nasal bone, it's going to turn in like this. So the nasal bone probably isn't drawn too well. Let's do that over. So the nose is going to start off with the nasal bone. So we can think of the actual bone itself. So if we imagine the side of the nasal bone, and somewhere up here is going to be the glabella. And remember, the eyes, the axis for the eyes, I'm not going to draw it since we did it last time, is a little bit below this point here for the nasal bone. So just like the nose starts at some point, it should end at some point. So the nose will start right there at the nasal bone, go all the way down, and we're going to reach the root of the nose. The nose will stop at the root of the nose, and then we're going to build the wing of the nose. So very roughly here, that's going to be the wing of the nose. And now we're going to have the bulb of the nose, the front plane of the nose, side plane of the nose, which is, this is the side plane, excuse me. This is the side plane for the wing of the nose. And then this is the side for obviously the side plane of the nose. But also we do have a little thin sliver of a top plane for the nose. So again, this whole thing right here is going to be another plane. And now there is some evidence of the wing of the nose on the other side. So again, the root of the nose, I'm going to have to reestablish where it is. If this is nasal bone, root of the nose will probably be here. And the telltale sign of the root of the nose is the nostril. See how the nostril will kind of follow in there? So that now will be a telltale sign. So that right there is the nostril turns into the root of the nose, which is right there. So now the important thing to note is the angle between the angle of the nose. So we're seeing a little bit of the top plane of the nose here. So this shape is a little bit wrong. So this would actually go over and then down and then over, down, over again. And we'd be seeing just a trace amount, tiny bit. I don't even think I have a brush that is small enough for that shape when we get into it. Sorry, bumped into the camera. When we get into it in the painting. So now that we have the structure of the nose, we are going to want to look at the planes. And once we get into the planes, then we'll be able to apply some form modeling. And one of the more important things to talk about is the word base boundary. So a base boundary was taught to me by my teacher, John DeMartin. So a base boundary, if you think about a ball, okay, the base boundary is the shape of the form. So here's a ball, and let's put a little strange little like structure on the ball. See this? So this will be kind of the boundary around the form. So you can even give that little ball an axis. And now that little ball is starting to freak me out, but that's just a little term for that. So I'm going to, get rid of that. Excuse me. So now let's think about the boundaries of each one of these planes. So starting with this one, the wing needs to drop. I don't know why I'm changing it, but anyway, the wing of the nose on the model wasn't as big as I had it. So see this enclosure, this simple little enclosure here. So the nostril itself actually continues, see this? Follow with me here. Continues the contour of the nose. See how that's turning inwards into that shape there. The nostril, just like the lips, is kind of the face turning into itself. So that's one boundary for one plane. Here's one boundary for another plane. See how it's turning, going in there. And then the same thing here. I'm going to have to take that shape out. Now you're starting to see the boundary for the bulb of the nose. But there's even going to be another little plane. See that? Chop, chop, and then chop. Very much like a sculptor would be chopping at each one of these planes. And even up here, there's going to be a kind of bridgeway between the side plane of the nose. See that? A little bridgeway between the side plane of the nose and the maxilla, the region of the maxilla under here. Now, the planes. So let's get into some of the vectors involved here. So remember, you want to think about the direction of the plane. So if that is going that way, it is now turning this way. And in a sense, this is vector addition, adding vectors to one another. See how this is turning that way, that way. So now you're starting to see kind of a gradient, a little turn for each one of these forms. And now the same thing is going to happen here. So we're following the vector here, here, here. It starts to turn, then gets darker. And then eventually we'll approach a shadow. A shadow is nothing more than the consequence of the base boundary, or the boundary of a certain form. The light, see how there's a shadow on my, a cast shadow on there. See that cast shadow there? That's a result of the light hitting the boundary of this marker. Same kind of thing is going to happen with the nose. See how there's going to be a vector here, 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 and then it turns inwards. And once it turns inwards, we will have a little glimpse of a cast shadow here, but ever so slightly, because now that I'm analyzing these forms, what I once thought was a shadow is not. I thought that there was a shadow here, but the more I analyze the forms, the more I see that that's impossible. There is only a shadow here, because remember, the angle of the light source, what's in shadow, is going to be a plane that is parallel to the light source. So if this is the direction of the light source, so if that's a little vector right there, the planes that are in this precise angle, such as this one right there, see how this one right here, so that guy right there has very much the same angle as this one, and it's not drawn that well, but depending on the angle of the plane with respect to the light source, you will get the shadow. Now that I'm saying that, I do have the vectors a little bit exaggerated, but you get the point, right? So each one of these planes that we talked about, I know this is kind of a long clip for the nose, but now you really have an idea of how the nose will be constructed. And now that we have the painting back, remember the painting is still wet. So this is still the first color pass for me. I have been splitting up the process into individual episodes, but don't worry, I'll guide you through each step, and I'll let you know what I did in previous episodes as it pertains to the current episode. So now let's talk about what's on the palette right now. Alright, so now you're seeing the color palette. And just like I mentioned yesterday, I will continue to remind you, this is an extended color palette, and if you want to know exactly what colors I have, starting maybe from this one to this one, I'm going to have all of that information typed up in the description box, down below. So what we have here is the color value web, and I've been using this brush here for much of the construction of the eyes. So this is the background color, okay, and this is the color value web. It has a basic flesh tone that we mixed up earlier. Don't worry about it, it's just flesh tone, light, middle, dark, that's it. And then I had a little group of colors mixed up here for the eyes. So this was the iris, the sclera, sclera light, sclera dark. Remember, sclera is the white of the eye. And then we had the darker accents, which has some dioxazine purple. And then a little bit of flesh tone, though we didn't need it because we have it there. So now with the nose, I'm going to want to have a designated dark brush. And it's going to have to be this one. You know, I got to clean this brush off. And I'm just going to clean this off with Odorless Mineral Spirits. And yes, we still have some more post-it notes to talk about later on as it pertains to the painting. So let's just clean off the brush, just using simple old Odorless Mineral Spirits. So just Ivory Black, Alizarin Permanent, and Dioxazine Purple. I'm going to use the Dioxazine Purple just to add a little more color in the darks. So that's going to be for the wing, or sorry, the wings. That's going to be for the nostril. See this accent here kind of follows along that contour for the wing of the nose. And I may end up having to use this brush for multiple things, which probably isn't ideal, but let's try using this one here. And each value that we're going to put down, each value relates, or it determines a certain angle. So the vector, remember vectors have, you know, they have angle and magnitude. So you want to know the angle of the light, and then the magnitude of that vector will kind of be the value, wouldn't it? The value of the shape. And so I'm basically using the same brush now, getting in darker shapes as the situation calls for it. And this is that darker plane that I was describing earlier. Remember that little, yeah, you remember that shape. So let's go ahead and put this back into here. And we are seeing a tiny glimpse of the other side of the wing of the nose. But what I'm doing is I'm still kind of in that basic construction mode. So I did do a study of this model from life. So if you're wondering where I'm getting these photo references from, this one was taken at the Hood Portrait Group at Hood College. They have portrait sessions every Friday morning, so I'm actually going to be back there tomorrow. But by the time you're watching this, I probably, I don't know, you know what day of the week it is, right? So by the time you're watching this, I would have already painted there. And if you want to know come on. If you want to know, if you want to see my other artwork, so I also post on my Instagram. I try to post on it every day. I try to feed the Instagram account. You can see what I'm painting there. So I'm going to do a painting of the model, the same model, of course. And it'll be interesting to see the differences between this one and that one. I would love the film there, but I did bring my camera. I tested out some of the lighting, and it's not optimal for my, sorry, I keep kicking the camera. It's not optimal for filming this video, so can't film there. So again, I'm just trying to get this tone here for the shadow, and I'm trying to fuse this shape into all of these, and I know it looks kind of wonky right now, and it's going to look kind of wonky for a while. And again, that's just the awkward stage, and that happens. Drawing a vertical here. I think that the nose, this shape might actually have to push out a little bit, which would move that center line over that way, which is okay. No need to rush here. And take this and apply it to your own painting, because portrait, there's oftentimes this fear of the likeness, right? The likeness always is getting in the way of the painting process. And you would think, well, isn't that what you're trying to do? Aren't you trying to make it look like the model? Yes, but I'm not going to let that bother me. I'm not going to dwell in the fear of not getting the likeness of the model. Rather, I'm looking at shapes, I'm interpreting shapes, using a little bit of information of structure, which I'm now sharing with you, and progressing in that way. And here is that little boundary. Remember I said that the nose would connect. There would be kind of a bridgeway plane, and that's this one here. Wow, this is very, very subtle, much more subtle than I thought. Okay, so I'm going to continue with that other small brush because I am losing a little bit of the bulb of the nose, the bottom. So remember, the root of the nose is here. Nasal bone is about here. See how the nasal bone is above the angle for the axis of the eyes? And I'm sorry, I keep bumping into the camera. I do have the camera right in front of me for these close-up shots, but I've just gotten kind of used to it. Okay, so let's see. I think that there's much more of a point here. Okay, see how we're sculpting that out now? Not entirely sure though if it's correct. Let's do this here. I usually don't use this, but whatever. Let's just use it. Caliper from the tear duct to the back of the eye. Okay. That should meet the top of the bulb, sorry, top of the wing of the nose. See, we're off by that much, a little bit, but that's an easy adjustment. And no, I didn't measure the model. I probably should, but just going off of intuition. So very much like the width of this brush, moving that down. And then what you do to the top, you want to do to the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of smudge this down. And this is one of the things I really, really enjoy about oil paint, is that it allows you to do stuff like that. And just the same, the root of the nose, we'll push it down to about there. Gotta love oil paint. You really want to use every advantage you possibly can in terms of your paint handling. Paint handling is something that I've been working on for a while now. I'm trying to improve my paint handling. So that is, you know, it's very safe to do a transfer drawing, do an underpainting where you analyze it value for value, and then you just kind of put in washes of color, fill it in, and there you go, realistic painting. But I think that that doesn't really exploit some of the qualities that oil paint has. And that's why I'm painting in this kind of style recently, just because I want to work on my paint handling. The more you understand how to handle the materials, the stronger your work will be. And then add some more information about structure, like what we're going on here, and you're going to learn a lot. Adding in the highlight there. And again, that's my mission, really, to bring the experience of painting to you every day that I can. So that highlight is actually going to be very descriptive for where the nose or the bulb of the nose may go. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the nostril yet again. And this is actually going to taper down. So ultramarine blue and ivory black. Okay, so now I think that something's up here. So I'm still missing the wing of the nose and barely, just barely. Can't even hold my hand straight enough for that, but see that tiny little brush mark? That's going to describe the contour of the nose on the other side. Contour of the nostril, or sorry, the wing of the nose. There we go. I think we almost just about have a nose. Now I'm going to return back to a question that I had before about chiaroscuro. I don't know. However you pronounce it, chiaroscuro, I guess, how we usually butcher it, right? Light and shadow, okay? So here and here. You want this and this to be as precise and descriptive as possible. And then as the values turn closer to the light, just like in that technical drawing, you'll see the form start to arise. But I think that's good for the nose for now. Nope, never mind. I'm missing the width right here. I need to push this. Or lack thereof width, because it's actually much tinier on the reference, the photo reference. There we go. See how we've constructed that nose from the inside out without too much of a worry of measuring? Though we did measure at this point to this point and related it from this point to this point, but that's very tiny stuff. And remember, it's always important to stand back, especially when you're getting into the smaller shapes. The further you get into the shapes, the more and more we get into this mindset, and it's really hard to get out of that mindset. You get so target fixated on likeness, detail, minutia, all kinds of tiny things that we tend to miss certain things. As my teacher, one of my teachers, John DeMartin, said at the Studio and Caminati live stream, remember that event that I went to a couple weeks ago? There was one line where he said in there, it's important to stand back because it increases your cone of vision. So I'm partly paraphrasing it, but something like that. It increases your cone of vision, so making sure that you see the painting at a distance, even though we're getting into very tiny stuff with this brush. Even though we're getting into the tiny stuff, it's important to always stand back and see the painting at a distance. Now that I'm at a distance, the forehead, that shape might have to drop. So now we're going to get into the mouth. So just like with the nose, I'm going to do a technical drawing for it. Just dropping the hairline a little bit. And the hairline is also an edge. You definitely want to soften. So again, the flesh tone brush. And I'm not really showing you the photo reference right now because don't really need it. Because remember, the photo reference is just a reference. I'm not trying to copy that thing. Just want to make sure that I'm reasoning with the shapes. And now the entire structure of the mouth as it relates to the cheekbone is going to be very important because I may have to push it out in this direction, just physically kind of pulling that shape a little bit more. So now let's get into the structure for the mouth. So now we have our I keep forgetting what I called this thing. This is our structure board. Yeah, structure board. I'm probably changing it each time, but whatever. This is, again, just the glass that we drew on earlier today with the dry erase. So let's get into the mouth now. So like I mentioned before, you can think about it as a type of cylinder. So if this is, say, the outside of the cylinder, so you would be seeing the bottom of the cylinder here, and then the top would be somewhere over here, and then here we have a little axis here. The center line for the mouth is going to fall somewhere over here. Remember, the concepts are three-dimensional in nature, so that's why we're drawing in all of these axes. You'd be surprised at how much volume you can get through understanding the linear construct of certain things. So that's going to be the top of the mouth, bottom of the mouth is going to go there, and then here is going to be the corner of the mouth on one side and on the other side. And just like that cylinder, the structure of the cylinder, it's turning away. So what we have is a little shape here and a little shape here. And these shapes are going to give us the upper lip, and that's going to turn in towards here and then taper out that way, and that's going to be the telltale sign of the orientation of the mouth. Now the philtrum, what is the philtrum? So if this is the root of the nose right there, and this is the chin, not that the chin matters right now, but the philtrum is this. That's the philtrum. It's the teardrop looking shape. Literally, it looks like a teardrop, right? So that is the philtrum. Now the philtrum will turn right into here, and it'll give us the upper lip. So I'm just going to erase this portion now so you can see how that turns into the shape for the upper lip. And you'll see when I get into the painting, I usually start off right here with the philtrum and the upper lip, because it does two things at once. It helps to place the upper lip, the center line of the lip, and it does multiple things really. That's why I start with this portion of the upper lip. Okay, so now you see that the lip is turning away from us. And here there's going to be a very subtle change in the contour. It's going to turn as that gradient goes over. Sorry, I keep bumping into the camera. And so now I'm kind of drawing our model's lips less and more of a conceptualized version. So now as we go towards the bottom of the lips, there's going to be a little bit of a shape going inwards like this, and that's going to give us that W. Remember that W that I was talking about? This almost looks like the container that holds your retainers when you buy retainers. And anyway, so this is going to be the orbicularis oris, but what is important is not the name of the thing, it's what the thing is. It's actually a structure that's turning away, so this actually needs to come down a little bit more like that. So it's turning away there, and that's the bottom portion, and this is the top portion, and then this is going to be the side right here. That's the side, that's the front, and then that's the side. Now what's important with the mouth, other than the curvature of certain things, it's going to be how much we're seeing, what the tolerance is from the back side here to there. I got it wrong there, so erase that. So the cylinder is actually turning in, but one thing we're missing is the outside shape. There it is, roughly the outside shape of the side of the face. Though we have the lower lip, the upper lip, we need to know how this all connects to the rest of the face, because that's important, the interconnectivity of certain things. So here is the outside shape of the face. Sorry, I bumped into the camera again. So zygomatic plane goes all the way towards here. See that? All the way towards here, and then starts to wrap in towards the orbicularis oris. And as the orbicularis oris wraps down, it'll give us this plane change here, which will give us the chin. The chin will go down towards the mandible, and there you have the mandible. And that's basically going to be the construct of the mouth, in a very kind of sloppy manner, but you get the point. Now let's get into the vectors, so the direction of the planes. So again, there's going to be a plane going like this, over, as we start to turn away. But also there's going to be a plane that's top facing there, down, over. So now again, going to go up, flat, down. See how it's starting to turn around? And very important now is the relation from this plane. See how that's going this way. This plane. See how that's going now this way. It's important to see that. See how these planes are turning down, and then they start to go up again. See that? Starting to go up again. As the chin, we start to see the top plane of the chin, even though this is still kind of a halftone in the painting. The highlight would be somewhere over here. The highlight would be here because this plane is turning like that. And when the plane is very close to being perpendicular to the light source, that's going to be the highlight. That's why there's going to be a highlight over here. And it starts to turn away and away, and then goes all the way down towards the chin. So now that we have the painting back here, let's take a look at what colors we're going to want to mix up for the lips now. So this was the brush that I used for the sclera. This one, sclera light, sclera dark. So very much in the same way that I mixed light and dark, I'm going to do the same thing. Once I can get another brush, and this is whatever kind of brush. I think this is the one I used to soften. So I'm going to want the same thing with the lip color. So a little bit of alizarin. So let's mix it, I don't know, over here. Alizarin, cadmium orange, and that's really bright. Now let's use one of our complementaries. So the cadmium green. So cadmium green and peryline red. Cadmium green and peryline red. A little bit of burnt umber. So we want something that's pink, but we don't want it to be overly pink. So let's suppose this is the middle, right? And the darker region can pretty much just be the background color. So flake, peryline. Peryline gives you a really wonderful pink. Even brighter and more vivid than cadmium red and titanium white. So anyway, titanium white, peryline will give you lip color light, and then again with the same brush we have lip color dark. And the dark accents and the rest of the flesh tones are going to be basically the same as with the eye. So we're going to use sclera light. Sclera. Sorry. We're going to use the lips, the light color. See how I said we would start with the top middle portion. So not only does that give us the shape for the philtrum right here, but it also gives us the center line of the upper lip, and it's an easier way to start. And we're going to let this blend with the flesh tone underneath. And so one thing to look at with the models in particular is the shape or the distance for the philtrum. I actually think I just put it too close to the root of the nose. So I'm just pushing it down ever so slightly. If I finish in time today, I'm going to go to the store and get another one of these brushes. This is a Master's Touch. I don't think the camera will focus. It's Master's Touch 2 round, size 2 round. It's a synthetic. And again, no one's paying me to tell you these things. I just really love sharing. You share with those that you care about, right? I care about you. So I want you to have the best information that I can possibly provide you with. So let's put a little more light right there. Now I did say that the philtrum looks like a teardrop, but that's not always the case. Every model is different. Every situation is different. But you know what I was giving you before was a general idea. Our model's philtrum is more rectangular. Why am I using this brush? Okay, so now we're going to switch to the color of the lips, but dark. As it tapers away from the light. Just like I drew out with those directional, with those vectors, it's going to get much darker here. And then darker down here. And as as I put that down, I think there might be some trouble with the shape of the chin. I think it's too angled. Maybe it needs to go up a little bit more. Let me relate this to this first. So in general, you can work here, to here, to here, and then here, because this is much harder to move, the eyes, than the nose. And the lips, again, much easier to move than the nose. And then the chin is just like a single brush stroke at that point. But I think, I don't know what's going on here, to be honest. I think that I need to push this down. I did say that I would push all of this over that way a little bit, so this is kind of how I'm going to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to get a darker accent with a little bit of alizarin and burnt umber. Same brush. There we go. So that's going to give us a little bit of a darker accent. And the lips are turning away, so they're getting darker over there. And now we're going to use that for the side of the mouth. I'm not going to spend too long painting the mouth because I'm most likely going to have to move it. So I want to put in just enough information. Remember what I always say? Keep your shape simple and easy. And if you can finish my sentence, please go ahead and comment down below. All right, now that you're commenting down below, keep your shapes simple and easy so that when the time comes to make changes, those changes are simple and easy to manage. It's just like in life. You know, you don't want to complicate things too much. Keep it simple. Enjoy everything that you have. Every day that we're able to paint, every day we're in good health is a good day. Don't worry about not having the fancy cars or whatever. Just enjoy being here. Live your life for those that couldn't live theirs. Now we're just pushing this shape downwards. And so now I do think that, I don't know what's going on, but I think that the chin is going to have to be reworked. And we'll probably get into that in the next video. So for now, let's continue to put in this light shape. And we're going for those larger shapes first. So see how very simply we can create the shapes for the lips. And now let's just, the icing on the cake, the accents. So just with the smaller size, what is this, size 2 round Master's Touch brush. One accent there. And another accent right here. There you go. Very simple. And I know I'm going to have to adjust it at some point, so I'm not too worried about it. I want to keep this process very explorative. It's important, it's not even a word. I want to keep this, I want to keep the painting like an exploration, a process of exploration. Always relate the shapes, interpret the shapes, go for accuracy, but leave room for creativity. Remember, we're not human photocopiers. A little bit of light here. I think we'll fix the chin with this one. We'll focus on something else for next time. I think it's simply just this shape. And I don't know, man, that's my intuition that's telling me to move that. Gotta follow your gut. Though I gotta be very careful with these shapes because I don't want to accidentally give her, like I've been saying before, I don't want to give her a 5 o'clock shadow. That's what you call it, right? 5 o'clock shadow? I don't know. Just don't want to make it look like she has facial hair there. That would not be good. And yes, I should be using a larger brush for this, but you know, just trying to fill in the shapes. The highlight there, remember we marked where that highlight would fit in the structural drawing. And then to finish this off, let's just go ahead and put in the halftone for the orbicularis oris, the bottom portion of the orbicularis oris, that is. We're also adjusting the shape of the lips while we're at it. And I think just with a little bit of the cadmium yellow medium, titanium white, same brush, we're going to go ahead and pull this light again. Keep putting it in there and then we keep losing it. A little bit of a darker halftone right into there. And now, while I still have you in the close-up, I'm going to get a softer brush, preferably a dry one. Give me a second here. And with the dry brush, I'm going to just soften. Because this isn't going to be the final layer, I don't think, for the portrait, so, or with the face at least. I don't know, but the important thing is to make sure that the edges are soft. Maybe in here we'll keep it soft, sharp there, and then soft a little bit over there. And I'm just cleaning the brush off to the side. That's that sound you're probably hearing. Very gently here. And when I tend to get into focus, when I focus a lot, I do get kind of quiet, so I don't think you probably mind, though. Let's soften one last edge. And now that I have you back in the, well, at least a little further back, before I end today, see that? Yeah, I'm going to have to fix that. I'm going to have to push that further up. I think when I was adjusting that shape before, I may have forgotten to bring it back to where it should have been, or maybe I just got it wrong from the get-go. I don't know, but this has to move in. See that? Quite a lot. Quite a lot. And that's okay. That happens. But let's take it as an opportunity to soften, to continue to soften. And with my fan brush, I'm going to try to minimize the glare that I cause with that. And so with just a lighter halftone, I'm going to put in the shape that's here. So I'm probably going to have to do much more work than I thought. So yeah, I think this video might end up getting longer too. It's okay, I hope. So pushing a little more light into here. We're going to get a much more specific shape. And what we want is to have a dark brush, light brush, middle tone brush, but we also want to have brushes for each shape that kind of touches one another. This one, this one, this one. We want individual brushes for each thing. I think I could even push the halftone for the zygomatic bone a little more. Just let that kind of merge into the hair a little bit, which will also soften that edge. But I don't know. I mean, we're definitely going to come back into this. Trying to observe that shape. I think it could also be this shape here. I have to look into that. So again, on the palette, this is that green shape and the dark. The dark might need a little more ivory black and alizarin permanent. A little more alizarin permanent. And then we have a little bit of a lighter shape over here for the bottom of the neck. And I think I might even get, let me see here, another shape, just a light, I don't know, a little bit of cadmium yellow deep into this lighter region just in case. And you'll see what I think I'm going to need this for. And I think I'm going to need that to pull a little light, so I'm going to drop a vertical from here. Yep, I'm going to have to move that over a little bit. There. I'm going to need a lighter shape over there, and I'm going to put in a little bit more than I need, just to get that shape just right. See that? See how that creates a nice little edge there? And again, paint handling, right? So I'm going to, well, actually first, I'm going to see if I have to move this over. Yeah, I do think I have to move that over. So I'm going to use the light brush. Moving that over ever so slightly, but probably too much. And it's okay, now that I have actually some of that paint into this brush, I'm going to actually use it to put in this halftone. Very simple there. Alright, so now with the dark brush, just like I was intending to do before, see how we can just paint edges right into one another? And that way I'm getting that sharper edge. And I think that's part of this, or part of the problem, is this edge. need to describe it with much more clarity now. Same brush, just a little bit of the shadow color now, just to soften that little transition. Now I'm gonna get the, whoops, just dropped the brush here. Now I'm gonna get the same flesh tone brush that I had when I was first blocking in light. There we go. Just want to get a very soft edge there. And again, this is stuff that I would probably normally cut out. You know, if I was trying to make just a simple 1 hour or even 2 hour long painting tutorial. This is kind of the in-between stuff that you usually don't see. Softening. With the dark brush. Now, I don't really need to do this, but I think that turtleneck comes up a little higher. I think that's looking a little better, I hope. And I think what this is a double shadow. So I think that this right here would have been completely light, this shape that I'm painting in right now, but I think it's a secondary shadow. You know what? I think this is the cast shadow. This is the cast shadow being projected from this. Notice, remember the light's coming like somewhere like there. But since there's ambient light in the room, I think that that's actually making this appear lighter than it should. But it's kind of nicely describing the curvature of the mandible. Here's the corner for the ramus. I did say a couple videos ago, a couple episodes ago, that the footage would probably get longer. So now you're seeing much longer footage, I think. I mean, I won't really know until it comes time to edit. I suspect this one's going to get much longer. And then edge quality. Yeah, I know. I keep trying to end the video, but I still want to show you, I keep wanting to share things with you, okay? So the edge here, see how this is all the same edge? No. Don't want it to all be the same edge. So find an edge to sharpen. That, sharp, soft, really soft. We got to soften that. So I need that brush that I was using before. Where are you? Right over here. So this brush. We need variety in the edges. And again, I think I'm going to put in a little more dark. I know. I need to end the video soon, but I think that this shape needs to go further back. At least a little bit further back. And I have you a little bit further now, just so you can see the face at a distance. Because I think that's important. A little bit more ivory black, alizarin. There we go. So with tomorrow's video, I think we're going to move on down towards this area, and we'll have even more post-it notes, because I definitely have some interesting ones. Pushing this over. Okay. And that being said, I really hope that today's episode really helps you out. I wish you the best in all of your artwork, and I'll be back again with the next episode in another 24 hours. And here we are back in the collector's gallery. The collector's gallery is basically the collection of all the paintings that you're seeing on and off the YouTube daily show. So if you are interested, if you would be interested in the painting that is currently being developed, or in previous paintings that were done on this channel, and of course on and off YouTube, again, you'll have an opportunity to own one of these paintings in the collector's gallery. Remember, as I've been mentioning before, and I'm going to continue to mention, my girlfriend Lucy and I, we are working on the Patreon. And the Patreon, for those of you that don't know, is a resource where people can basically become patrons to their favorite artists, other YouTube artists or painters such as myself. So again, that kind of funding will enable you to become part of this cause, enable you to become part of the daily painting show, the daily Yupari. So that being said, with that kind of support, we'd be able to not only, have multiple camera angles where, right now I'm just moving one camera around, but I do want to have multiple cameras and a camera crew, and more importantly, above everything, I want to be able to have a live model there. And you know that with live models, you have to pay all of that stuff. But anyway, if you're interested in that, that will be coming very, very soon, along with other resources that I will be able to offer on the Patreon account that I probably can't offer on the YouTube platform. So if you're interested in any of these, so if you're interested in this one, which I'm sure some of you have seen, interested in this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and even up here we have the very first one. Yep, that is the very first one. I think it was filmed in time-lapse form, but yep, even the very first one will be on the collector's gallery.